I think I'm ready anyways. Seem like a fairly friendly bunch, and I know a couple of you already. And I was really happy to be offered to be able to speak to you today. And hopefully you like what I have to say. If you don't, feel free to tell me afterwards. I believe we intuitively understand the importance of listening and of sharing when we talk to others. Some people lean more heavily towards listening, either out of a lack of confidence in what they have to contribute to the conversation, or out of reverence to the individual they're talking to. Others lean more heavily towards talking. You probably know a couple people like that. They recognize the value of their experiences, and they want to share that. To share knowledge, to entertain, to provide in a social setting, because in small groups, talk provides a sort of social lubricant. There's nothing more awkward than a group of people where no one feels comfortable speaking and sharing. The readings today highlight these differences. In Jeremiah, the author says, "I do not know how to speak, for I am only a boy." But the Lord tells him to have more strength, for when he goes out, he is speaking with the authority and the substance of the Lord. In Hebrews, we are warned of the opposite. "See that you do not refuse the one who is speaking, for if they did not escape when they refused the one who warned them on earth, how much less will we escape if we reject the one who warns from heaven?" Pay attention. No free passes. So for me, when I read these passages and when I interpret these as such, the question that comes to mind is, when do I listen and when do I talk? And when should I talk rather than listen? There's clearly a wide margin of times in our lives when we talk or listen and when these are valuable activities. The importance of speaking your mind is clear if you are sitting in a committee meeting and truly disagree with something being said. There's arguably a moral imperative for you to at least share your concerns, if those concerns are so obvious and important for you to share. I've seen similar situations when one friend is talking to another about an illness or a divorce. Sometimes we are objective outsiders and can see things the individual going through the experience cannot. We should share that information if we can, because if we don't, that individual might experience what we fear they will. Just as many of us flash our lights at other drivers if we're driving by a police cruiser to give them a heads up, it is a part of the social pact we have with others. Hey, it's raining. Take an umbrella, right? We let people know when we see small, annoying circumstances that they could avoid, and we should warn them about. We should let them know when we see larger challenges that we think we have a way through. But what happens when we share out of the goodness of our heart and that information is not taken well? The person we are sharing with thinks we are jealous, we never like their husband anyways, our priorities are wrong, we don't understand, whatever it is. There's that idea of the silk glove and the iron fist, or presentation of a food at a restaurant. We have to be careful how we share information if we want it to be accepted. We can't share too much at once. We can't be too blunt. Maybe if you know the person will not take offense, it's different, but if you don't, be careful. Sometimes our friends need to hear things that they don't want to hear. Sometimes we know that they need to hear something and also know that they don't want to hear it. So tread lightly if you are going to share with them. Dr. Stephen Covey, the author of The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, talks about the idea of moral authority and an emotional bank account. All it means is that when we deal with others in a relationship, sometimes we have a quote-unquote good relationship with them. It means we've built up a balance of positive experiences with them over time, the way we would build up a positive balance in our bank account over years. The more we do things that frustrate or annoy them or otherwise create stress, like telling them they were a dope for marrying a certain person, the more we eat into that relationship, and it takes time for the relationship to recover. Just as it takes time for our bank balances to recover after a large purchase. That analogy is useful at times. Sometimes you know you can say something, but it won't hit home. The person you want to share with just isn't receptive at the moment, even if they should listen. That's not a you problem, not until you are tactless and you decide to talk about a situation that doesn't need talking about. It's better to be in someone's life for the long term than making your point now at the cost of your relationship. But let's talk about the other side here for a minute. What about listening? When should we listen? Unlike talking, where we might want to wait for the right time to share and weigh the consequences of what we are saying, we are always in a position to listen. It takes no physical effort. We don't have to think about what to say. We just need to open our ears and sometimes be strong. I'm sure some of you have had the experience when you're hearing something you really don't want to hear. And it takes everything you have just to keep looking at the person and taking that information in. It can be tough. But if you cower away and run, or get emotional and try to talk over the other person, you won't get what they are telling you. And more importantly, they won't feel heard. Sometimes the hardest part of a given situation is just for you to listen. There might not be any hard actions afterwards. They need to vent. So let them. Be strong. Once again from Hebrews, see that you do not refuse the one who is speaking. For if they did not escape when they refused the one who warned them on earth, how much less will we escape if we reject the one who warns from heaven? We need to weigh when to talk, but be confident in our speech. When we at a deep level know we must share. We must listen all the time if we are to be informed. Samuel Johnson, the English writer, wrote, "I never desire to converse with a man who has written more than he has read." When people talk to us, they are giving us information. Some of that information won't be that helpful to us, but listening for a bit will make them feel good. Some of that information could be crucial for our happiness going forward. It can be tough to talk, and it can be tough to listen. Whatever you need to do this week, be brave and do it. Amen. At this point, I think we're going to do the Lord's Prayer. And in an effort to not be nervous and mess it up, I'm going to bring it up on my phone. Whenever you're ready. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is on heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those that trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.